What is the truth about major leaguers and steroids? Miguel Tejada is currently under investigation by the FBI over whether he indeed lied to Congress. Roger Clemens will be questioned by Congress with a nation watching and listening. More than 80 current or former players are cited in the Mitchell report, and to date, only a half dozen, including Andy Pettitte, have acknowledged their drug use as alleged in the report. Current players may yet be disciplined. As Mark Feneruwata shows us, for one former player, the worst punishment is the truth he must live with.
On to dinosaurs?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Do you remember where they are? I think they're in the back.
There is nothing inside Dan Nolte's home that conjures memories of the 4 seasons he pitched in the major leagues, including one for the world champion Yankees. About the only baseball-related items are 2 generic etchings in a bathroom.
My life has been so radically transformed into an entirely different direction that my past is almost feels fake.
Swing and a miss.
In essence, Nolte's baseball career was fake. A month ago, the Mitchell report revealed his extensive use of steroids, amphetamines, and human growth hormone. It also revealed a man eager to tell his story.
I'm living proof that you can run faster, throw faster, and play Major League Baseball when you're not supposed to.
The 2-2. Got him.
Before Nolte began using performance-enhancing drugs, he was a wiry kid who couldn't gain weight. At Cal State Fullerton, he was a 6'6", 185-pound self-described broomstick with arms.
I was just encouraged to gain weight and get bigger and try to fill into my tall frame because that would be an advantage for me as an athlete. And I took it upon myself to inject this, that, and everything else.
How'd you go get him, and where did you go?
After I signed with the Twins, that same off-season, I walked into a gym in Orange County, kind of a bodybuilding gym rather than, your more fitness-designed gym, and went just to the biggest guy I could find and said, I need to gain weight, I need to gain a lot of it.
The bodybuilder told the 22-year-old Nolte to take a steady stream of steroids. The impact was dramatic and abrupt.
Over the course of just about 3 years, I gained 60 pounds, which was, for me, absolutely unbelievable, considering that probably the most I'd ever gained in a 3-month period was about 4 pounds prior to that.
His fastball went from the mid-80s to the mid-90s, shooting Nolte up the Twins' minor league ladder and into the big leagues by 1996.
How much do you think having used the drugs affected your ability to make that major league roster?
I would never have made it out of A-ball without steroids. I know I wouldn't have had the stuff to compete at the low A or high A level, definitely not double A and definitely not triple A, and no way in the big leagues.
Nolte pitched 3 seasons as a middle reliever for the Twins, all of them drug-induced by steroids and daily doses of amphetamines.
Who else knew you were using?
Nobody.
And the change in your body physically elicited 0 questions?
It elicited 0 questions, though I'm sure, especially the medical community, I'm sure people recognized there's something going on with this guy. I mean, he came in a beanpole and he is a horse now, throwing 100 miles an hour. There's something going on, but nobody ever said anything.
Nolte did incur several significant steroid-related injuries that prompted him to stop taking the drugs, although he turned to a new drug to try to repair the damage done by the steroids.
98 was when I got hurt again, and I decided I need to get off these drugs. They're killing me. I'm plenty big enough. I'm throwing plenty hard enough, and that's when I made my next brilliant decision to start using HGH.
Nolte took his use of human growth hormone with him to a new team in 1999, the Yankees, but his decision to stop using steroids had a significant impact.
My velocity dropped quickly. Even the radar guy in spring training asked me if I was okay, because my velocity had dropped below 90 for the first time in a long time.
Nolte pitched in only 33 games for the Yankees. Without steroids, his confidence was shot, so it was no surprise when Joe Torre kept him off the playoff roster. The surprise was Nolte's reaction.
Joe comes up to me and he said, Dan, I just want to tell you we're not going to put you on the playoff roster. And I looked at it, I said, thank God. And my response was more out of fear. I mean, I was just scared to death. I was scared to death my entire career. I was scared I was cheating. I knew I was cheating. I couldn't compete without the drugs.
The 1999 World Champions are the New York Yankees.
The night the Yankees won the World Series, Nolte hit rock bottom. He was in a limo crossing the George Washington Bridge, the accrued effects of steroids, amphetamines, and now alcohol having made him an emotional wreck.
As we drove across the George Washington Bridge back to my condominium, my thought was, if this is life, and I have reached its pinnacle, which most people probably would have agreed to, then I don't want to live because this is terrible. So stop the car and let me jump off the bridge.
Nolte retired shortly thereafter, turning to a faith he had begun to embrace during the '99 season. He studied theology and gave testimonials about his conflicted life as a major leaguer. This led to realizations about the impact of his drug use on others.
It dawned on me that the list of players and the list of people, family, friends, organizations, were just steamrolled in this process because I was so self-consumed in that little universe of my own that my decisions were just impacting people's lives left and right, and I had no care about that.
Well, elaborate on this trickle-down effect and what you recognized about it and some of the images that have sort of stuck with you now as you look back on that period.
I had friends that I played with that I called friends, that I was patting on the back on the way out when they're heading across the compound to AAA camp and I'm staying in big league camp, and I'm saying, man, I'm sorry, when the next day I'm shoving 2 cc's of whatever in my butt.
So what's the message you would want to send to some of those teammates?
I'm sorry, I'm just sorry. I'm sorry that I did that to you. I'm sorry that I did that to your family, and I would so understand if you chose not to forgive me.
About a year ago, an investigator from the Mitchell probe called, wanting to know if Nolte had any information about steroids in baseball.
I just remember him saying wow a lot, wow, and I finally said, why all the wows, And he said, well, because nobody's talking to us, and you're the only one that is willing, you're the only one that I have talked to that is willing to do that.
Nolte says he had no knowledge about steroid use by other players, but he does know what should happen to the statistics of any player shown to have cheated.
I've often thought of, like a strike through, just the black line right through my name and all the numbers. I think it needs to be more emphasized than just an asterisk. I think that people need to know that I cheated, period.
Pass to Hunter. Hunter shoots.
Nolte describes his life now as mundane, time spent mostly with his studies, his wife Cassie, and his 2 toddler sons.
Okay, I'll pray.
He actually says life would have been better without baseball.
This is never a seat that I wanted to sit in. I wanted to sit before you and say I had a good career and I worked really hard, and but I'm not sitting before you with that. I'm sitting before you because I cheated. And so whether I'm the only one that does it or whether I'm one of many doesn't make it feel any better. It still sucks that I have to sit here and say that I cheated people, I stabbed people in the back, people that wanted to help me, I screwed over. I mean, that I don't care if I'm the only one or one of many, it's still bad.
Mark Federer-Wada with Dan Nolte. This Saturday, Roger Clemens will be questioned by congressional staff in advance of his public testimony February 13th. A report in today's New York Daily News says that Clemens' former trainer, Brian McNamee, warned an employee of Clemens' agents in 2003 or 2004 about what he said was Clemens' involvement with steroids. Next, outside opinion on the provocative magazine cover that was designed to spark a discussion on race and golf and ended up costing an editor his job.